Hello, this is Squatch Blocks. Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to go over how to assemble the case for the Ultimate Collector Series Millennium Falcon and how to set it on the stand because it's not the easiest task when it comes to 30-pound Lego sets. So this is a very detailed video. It will not be quick, but if you ever do buy this case, hopefully this helps you out. Thank you. Enjoy. Now, the most important tip I can give you on building any stand or case from Wicked Brick is, number one, go to their website. If you bought a case, then go to the theme of your case, bring up that section. Now that we're in the Star Wars section, you do not want to go to the actual case. That's not going to give you much information. Go into your search bar and type in your set number and look for the stand. Click on the stand because the stand is going to give you a better representation of how the Falcon sits on the stand versus the case. Now the stand is slightly different from the full plate of the case stand, but the stand itself is the same. Click through the pictures. As you can see in our first picture, we're missing two landing gear on the left hand side of the Falcon. Back view, still missing those two landing gear. Now you want the view from the backside of the stand, not the Falcon. And if you zoom in real close, you can see that the stems for the stand go into the position of the landing gear. So that way you're fully informed on how this thing is going to attach before you ever build the case. The more you know, the better off you'll be. So you can see that this stem here and this stem here pretty much replace the landing gear for the Falcon. You can do this with any case from Wicked Brick. Just go to the stand. If it's the same orientation, I promise you it'll be the same pieces that make up the stand. Now, I've never personally bought a stand for an item from Wicked Brick and then bought the case later. But from what I understand, if you do it that way, you can order the case without the stand, and the plate for the case, the top plate, will have a hole in it to where the stand you already own will fit into. I don't know how the rest of that works. I personally can't speak to it because I don't have personal experience. But from what I've read and understand, they're interchangeable. So if you've already purchased the stand for the Falcon and you want to get the case, from my understanding, it will go together. When you order the case without the stand, it matches your stand versus when you order the whole thing together. All right, we've got our case and our base all spread out on the table. We've got all our connecting blocks and small screws in the Ziploc bag to the left so they don't get lost. Here are some tools that'll help us out. 2 microfiber cloths, a small flathead screwdriver, and a small Phillips head screwdriver, which isn't currently visible. We have our 2 plates for our minifigures and the 3 stems that connect them. We'll set those to the side. We have our plaque. We'll set that to the side. We have our 2 stems for our stand for our Millennium Falcon, both right and left. And we have a support brace and a connecting stem. And we'll set those to the side. Now the Falcon came with 5 large 3M pads. I had 5 large 3M pads extra because I want a little bit of extra padding underneath of it. Our base plate comes in 2 separate pieces. connected by two magnets. We have the top plate, which has the holes for our stems, and all our studs. The magnets are positioned in the back and secure the stand plate to the base plate securely in perfect position every time. Both magnets align on top of each other and connect, so you don't have to worry about it being in the right position. We have a right panel, a left panel, a top panel, our front panel, and our printed back panel. Now, the first step we want to do is we want to take the bottom base. Now, this is a solid piece of acrylic. It only has the 8 holes in it, one on each corner and one in the center on each side where our actual case will slide into. We flip that over and we take off the bottom piece of covering plastic. Now, the reason we have the 2 microfiber cloths, and you can use gloves, but the reason I use the microfiber cloth is to hold on the acrylic when I'm pulling off the rest of the protective tape, so that way I don't get fingerprints all over it. Like I said, you can use gloves if that helps you. Now go ahead and take out your 3M acrylic felt pads. Pour them all out onto the base, because we're going to want to position them where we want them before we ever start adhering them to the bottom of the base. That way you get a good idea of where everything's going to be, and you can verify that's where you want them before you start sticking them onto the base itself. Because pulling them off to reposition them is a difficult situation, if not a pain in the butt. Now, once we get them positioned where we think they'll do the most good, we go ahead and take off the sticky paper on the bottom and attach our felt pads. We have all our felt pads attached. Go ahead and wipe the base. Get any smudges or fingerprints off of it. Now, you'll notice when you flip over the acrylic and you set it onto the table, the felt pads help attach and keep the bottom of the case secure. And it also protects the acrylic from getting scratched up. Now, we'll flip our base back over, move that out of the way, leaving the protecting film on the top of it. Leave all film on every piece as long as you can. This will just help the cleanup and final process. Now, I am skipping a step in the video because it's been a while since I've built a case from Wicked Brick, but you definitely want to do the step you see next before removing any of the protective film from the stem plate or the top of the base where all your stand stems go into. You will have several pieces of plastic on the top plate. One main piece of plastic, one for the plaque, and one for the minifigure base. There is the Phillips head screwdriver I was speaking of. You just go underneath and you push the stems out. And the reason you want to do this before you take any film off is because it just protects you from scratching any of the acrylic. And you can see when I get all these out that there'll be small pieces of plastic paper around each hole. Go ahead and take those out, put your stems back in. And it also eliminates the amount of fingerprints if you do this before you take off any of the protective paper. We have our stems back in. We're going to take our first supporting stem. They are labeled right and left. And we're going to attach that to our top base plate. Now, these are all precisely cut. It will be a tight fit. You will hear popping and connecting sounds as you place it down. Push firmly straight down. Do not angle it at all because you do not want to break it. Then we'll move to our next stand stem and put that in. Finally, we're going to put the support base stem down. Slide it down to where it touches the base, and then you can push that in. You'll know the stems are in because the stems will be touching the base securely from front to back. There should be little to no space in there. Lastly, we'll connect our supporting brace for the top back. Wipe everything down, clean it up. And now we move our bottom base behind it and take off the protective paper from the top part of our bottom base. Now that our top paper is off, we can move our top base plate onto the bottom base plate. Pop it down, magnets, put it right into position, you're good to go. Now our next step is to attach our minifigure stands. Go ahead and pop out all the stems first. That way you can get that small ring of paper from around the stem hole and out of your way. Once we have all the paper rings out of the way, we reattach all our studs back into the base. And then we go ahead and take off the paper from the bottom of the first floor of the minifigure stand and the top. You have 3 stems that connect the top and the bottom. The 2 outer stems will have the stud on the back side, and the center stem will have the stud in the front side. That way we can take off the protective paper from the second story, set the first story down on our base. It too is positioned by magnets. And we can just take our second story of our minifigure stand and put it right on top. Next up, we'll take our name plaque, take the protective paper off it, and attach it to our base. And now our base and our stand are complete. We're going to want to clean that up and move it completely out of the way. Now, the first step for building the box, use your printed back plate to start with and peel up all the corners so the screw holes are visible. Position 1 screw and 1 connecting cube in each screw position. You do not need to fill the flathead screwdriver right now. Just go ahead and put your screw underneath through the hole and screw on the connecting cube by hand. Leave it loose, but not falling off loose, because you'll want to tighten it and help position it later. Now, when you're doing this, keep in mind where you're going to want the empty non-used screw hole to be. There's screw holes on all 3 sides of the cube, and you're only going to use all 3 screw holes in a corner. So the 2 right pieces will be facing down on the empty, and the 2 left pieces will be facing down on the empty. Now we can attach our left-hand side plate. Position it in and attach your screws. Now the 2 bottom connecting screws and cubes can be tightened down all the way on this side of the nameplate. Once you have the 2 bottom tightened, flip your 2 walls up and have them stand. And then go ahead and tighten the back 2 bottom screws on the back plate. Next up, let's connect the right side. And we're going to do the same thing we did on the left. Line it up, tighten the 2 bottom screws in totally and secure both the right side and the back screws. And beware of the doodle in the corner. He acts like he's helping, but he's really not. Now that we have our left and our right panels attached to our back panel, let's go ahead and peel off just a little bit of the paper. Leave as much on as you can. We're just getting it primed so we can pull it off easier later on down the road. We're going to attach our 2 connector cubes to the top right and top left. Remember, you want the screw hole facing up and back so it can't be seen. Do not tighten all the way because you'll want a little bit of play when you attach the top plate later. Now that we have the two top cubes attached, let's peel up the corners by the holes on our front plate and attach the cubes and the screws in the same fashion that we did our back plate. Now that we have the front plate ready to attach, let's go ahead and peel all the protective paper off all three walls of the case we already have assembled. Take your time, use a microfiber cloth to hold it. That way you don't get any smudges or fingerprints. Once we have all the protective paper off the case, let's go ahead and take the inside panel protective paper off the front panel of acrylic. Let's put it into position. And let's get the right side attached. We can fully tighten the middle and the bottom cube. And let's do the same with the left-hand side. Both the middle and bottom cube screws can be tightened in this step as well. Now let's remove our protective film and retighten all screws except for the top 6 cubes. Once we've pulled the rest of the paper off, we'll go ahead and take a little time, clean up, and move our box to the side. We're going to go back to our stand now. Let's bring our stand on the table so we can place our case on top. We're going to do this without the top attached to the case. It'll make it easier to put the case on the base. Acrylic is flimsy in this size, so it's just going to be easier to position and move everything into position without the top being on. Now that that's done, we'll go ahead and make sure we've got our top cube snug. Not totally tightened, just slightly snug so we can put the top of our case on. Remove the plastic from inside and out and set the top of the case into position. Now that we have the top of the case into position, we're going to go ahead and attach the remaining screws. Be real careful because now your whole case is exposed. Take your time and attach each screw, and now you can fully tighten everything. And we're done. We have a beautiful case, no fingerprints, everything is tight and in position, and we're ready to mount our Falcon. Now, when you move the stand and the case, do it separately. Now the Millennium Falcon is 30 pounds, so use 2 people in this process. You're going to take off this back landing gear on the port/left side, leave the front one on, take the back one off. You're also going to take the very front one off because that's where the studs of the stand go to hold the Falcon. Now, when you start this process, put the hands in the desired position. It'll be in your instruction booklet, and have someone else remove the 2 landing gear. Once they've removed the landing gear, have them move into position and guide you. So where the stems for the stand fit where the landing gear is that you just took off. Take your time. It's heavy and you don't want to drop it. Well, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope it helped you out in your case building endeavors. I just want to let you know I'm not paid by Wicked Brick to make this video or promote their products. I just love the company. I think they make fabulous cases and stands. And I made this video to hopefully help anyone out that needs assistance in building a case or stand, whether it be from Wicked Brick or anyone else. So thank you for watching. Have a great one. See you on the next one.